You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So, if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your, stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Dr. Harry Cohen, the simple secrets to happiness. Ladies, oh my gosh. Well, I have the author of the book called Sun, Not Salt by Dr. Harry Cohen. He's a PhD, psychologist, executive coach. He's also a restaurateur. And he has written this straightforward but super profound guide for being your best self, how to uplift others, and behaving in a manner that draws people, energy, opportunities towards you, which makes you more happy and more effective. I love his backstory, so I'm going to share it probably because it just reminds me of my own family. But he grew up in New York. He was the only son of a middle-class Jewish family. His dad was a soda pop franchise business owner. And when he was young, he spent his summers driving the soda pop truck, which I love that because that's what we call soda in the Midwest is pop. So I don't know if it migrated from Buffalo, but he wanted to have a career that helped people. And he went on and he got his bachelor's degree in psychology from Cornell University, his PhD from the University of Michigan. I'm really mad at the Wolverines right now because they beat the Huskies, but that's okay. I'm getting over it. He wrote his first book, Secrets of the Obvious, in 2010. He owned this restaurant called the Black Pearl, which is in Ann Arbor, very great town. And he also has a TEDx talk. He was like a pioneer before everyone was doing TEDx back in 2015 that talked about what he calls heliotropic leadership, which is the scientific understanding that all living systems are drawn toward life-sustaining energy, including our own. So super excited to be with you here. I do want to know, how did you get from Buffalo and the soda pop truck to Cornell?
So honestly, getting into an Ivy League school was like a big deal. First of all, thank you for that lovely intro and lovely bio. And obviously somebody wrote that and sent it to you because it's very cool that you know all that. I think our publicist did that.
Yeah, that's great.
Bottom line, when you get into an Ivy League school, it's like, holy shit, how can you go wrong? It's 3 hours away from Buffalo, it's 150 miles. And it's an Ivy League school. So, wow, I'm thrilled. I'm going to, be set up for life because I got into an Ivy League school. That was my thinking anyway.
Right.
So, it's 3 hours away. I got in. I'm not going anywhere else. Rock and roll. Let's do this.
That's amazing. Tell me this, like you talk about, like you've done a lot of things. You had the restaurant and you're like writing the book, you're practicing, you were doing TEDx. I feel like you're a little like you're the guy who's the head of the curve, really coming up with this like law of attraction before it was like, The Secret or whatever. How did you learn this? What was the challenge that came up for you that?
I've been a seeker since I was 18. That's when I really knew I wanted to be enlightened. I wanted to discover the secret to life. And I spent a ton of time, formally and informally, in workshops and seminars and conferences and seeking lived experience with sages of all kinds. I've lived in an ashram in India. I've run 3 marathons. I've studied with amazing people from Simon Sinek to Martin Seligman, all these, icons of the industries and the world and the, thought leaders of our time. And I'm not done. So I want to learn from exemplars. I want to study with, study for, study around, be around people who've attained the highest. Life is very short. So if I can understand how to live life more effectively sooner, I can pass it on to somebody else. If a village discovers a wheel, they got to tell the other village, you got to see this amazing tool. If you discover don't poop upstream from where people drink, you got to tell people.
You got to tell people.
And so to me, it's like enlightenment, discovering secrets, and then telling people about them so that you can do more good in the world, period.
I love that vision.
Yeah. So that's my thing. I want to discover wisdom, decipher wisdom and serve it up for the masses so that you don't have to read another book. Now, if you want to read another book, you can, but
Right.
I hear people say, what's your next book? Oh, I don't want to write another book. I want to dig deeper into every single one-page chapter of this book, which is what I'm doing every day. I read a chapter and send out a tiny little note to my team. I might make it.
That.
I mean, I'm talking, today is the 5th, is the 7th of March. Today is apologize well. And my note today was, I missed a meeting yesterday with a colleague, and I called her up to say, again, I'm sorry, because I apologized yesterday, but I will, if I ever miss a meeting again, I will text you and let you know that I can't make the meeting. I'm trying to get better, trying to be a better person. And that is my practice. This work isn't for others. It's for me. It's for you. You were 5 minutes late. You lovingly texted me and said you're going to be late. I so appreciate it. Those little things I want to hone to a fine art so that other people can go, got it.
Got it. I love this. So I want to talk about, so in your book, Be the Sun, Not the Salt, you talk about the heliotropic effect, and being the outline of, what does it really mean to be a positive energizer? And now we know that apologize well is one of them. Tell me like what is, and how did you come across the heliotropic effect? And what my second part of it is, what's your favorite note or your favorite bullet from that?
Okay, so look, as I said, I'm interested in the truth. I'm interested in studying wisdom. I'm interested in science. I'm interested in positive psychology, we call positive deviance. On a bell curve, you've got the people who are way out there. What is it about them that are worth studying and learning from? Okay, so it turns out the science has already been done. This fellow, Kim Cameron, he's a professor at University of Michigan, business school, and he studied organizations and found that a preponderance of successful organizations had many positive energizers in them. What are those people? Those are the exemplars. Those are the people who we intuitively and naturally are drawn to and like and want to be around. We want to study with them. We want to hang out with them. We want to work for them. We want to work with them. We want to marry them. We want them on our team. What is it about them? Well, it turns out they express authentically virtues that have been studied, and all the virtues have been known since the ancients, since the Stoics have talked. We're talking about compassion, empirically, gratitude, kindness, authenticity, one of the things you said, vulnerability, Brene Brown stuff, generosity. These are what the social scientists have understood to be qualities that are really great. Resilience, dependability, conscientiousness. These are qualities that we all want our children to embody and demonstrate. And so it was a merging of the ancients plus the current science to say, oh my God, I've discovered what's already been discovered. This is the secret to life. Be these virtuous behaviors, demonstrate these virtuous behaviors authentically as best you can, and everyone wins. You win and everyone around you wins. So that's how I, quote unquote, discovered it. My contribution / brilliance is simplifying it to the metaphor, be the sun, not the salt. Don't be a dick. In other words, it's really, but it's that simple and that hard. There's a chapter in there. You can say, what's my favorite? And I'm going to try and distill that to say, what's your favorite kid? Well, of them all, you could say knowing isn't doing is the whole, is like the essence of this. Knowing isn't doing is a really important one. Knowing all this stuff doesn't matter. It's how do I treat you? How do I make you feel? Maya Angelou, how do you make other people feel? None of this matters unless you make other people feel like, wow, he was a great dude. Or she is a great person. Why? She listens well, she's thoughtful, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, if you had to distill, if I had to pick one,
Right.
it's who are you? Your identity drives a lot of behavior. So if you remember, wait a minute, who is it that I am? Who is it that I want to be? Wait a minute, I'm a good person. Well, what does a good person do? Fill in the blank. But it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not,
Yeah.
I have another one in there. Keep it simple. Don't be a complexifier. This whole
Right.
point is, just be kind to someone. Hold the door or hold your tongue. Be the sun, be the salt. Hold the door is be the sun. Don't be the salt is don't say the snarky thing that you're thinking. Now, it's a clever little hold your door, hold your tongue. But if that reminds you, okay, I can do that. Or move from got to get to. That's a simple little phrase. I got to go to work. No, bullshit. You get to go to work. I got to do this podcast. Dude, I get to do this podcast. This is so easy, but hard. The paradox of this, Marni, is we already know this. Well, great.
Right.
I was talking to a dear friend about the fact that we forget. And I think the forgetting is part of the whole human condition. So my thing is remind, be specific. Well, when you find yourself going into a dark hole, the moment you go there, take a breath, smile to yourself, and do the next right thing. Don't keep digging that hole. Say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, I want to talk about the book because the way you have it organized is like amazing, because it almost reminds me like back in the day when I first was involved in the 12 steps, I would get these little affirmation books, right? And they had these like basically how to not be a dick daily.
That's right.
And I would be like, okay, this is really great, so I don't forget. And so what I love about your book is that you've organized it, like you've organized these sort of like buckets being into really important virtues. The one that I there's two that I really want to talk about in our interview, because these are like my, you have one called pet peeves bite. So this is one of my pet peeves. I'm not going to release it for this conversation, but I'll try later. Then that is this idea of knowing isn't doing, because I think that for me, because I don't, my coaching and all what I do is I call it like the PhD, right? So people come to me and they're like, I've read the book, I went to the workshop, I did Dr. Joe, I did this, I did that. Let me tell you all about how smart I am, right? And then I'm like, well, did you break up with that guy who treats you like shit? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. Like I can't. And so I just really want to emphasize this one, because my thing is I don't care how smart you are. So tell me let's talk about this principle, because you've got like, you break it into like, 5 or so little buckets, but tell me about knowing isn't doing.
So knowing isn't doing is that what you just said to that client, you're talking about this stuff isn't the point. Do you act in an appropriately kind, compassionate, grateful, courageous, dependable, authentic, keep going way? It is the action. It is in the doing. Aristotle, I just read this book by a General Madison. He said, Aristotle, the learning is by doing. You want to be brave? Act bravely. You want to develop, right?
I love that.
That's Aristotle. But the point of it isn't like, let's talk about bravery. Screw that. Do the brave deed. Send the text. Make the call. Pick up the phone. I did one of those yesterday. I avoided it. I did it. It's the doing that makes the difference. So that's why it doesn't matter how much anyone understands. It's whether they actually act on it. Did they break up with the guy that was treating them like shit? That's what matters. So all of this material is, did I do a good deed today? Did I help someone? Did I listen well? Did I any of these chapters? There's 30 to remind you, start over every month. Today's, did I apologize for something, for a transgression that I did? Yes or no? It's not complicated. And if I did, good-o. I mean, do the next right thing is a brilliant principle, because it means we are going to screw up. That's fine. Forgive yourself quickly, and then do whatever the next right thing is. It doesn't. It's infinite what the next right thing is. It could be to shut up. It could be just make amends. It could be, go clean up the mess you made. It could be think about what just happened. I don't know, but I want to be doing the next right thing. For this podcast, I'm hoping against hope that I'm serving your listeners, that this podcast, I really do.
You totally are. So one thing that you have, this idea about do it anyway, because I think, again, I tend to be sort of like direct, but I like this idea of like, all our excuses are legitimate, right? Like this, you were talking about avoiding, right? Like I was tired. I wasn't really sure if it was, what I was going to say to the person, but you're sort of like, do it anyway, be heliotropic be heliotropic anyway, right? So like in that moment where you're like collecting evidence that you're right for your justification, how do you get brave? Like, what do you think is the first step of being in bravery?
So this, I think Brene Brown talks about, there's no first step, just step.
Right.
And, like, how do you be brave? Well, you don't talk about it. You do. It's action only. Now, if you need to take a breath first, take a breath and step forward, step into it, step off the diving board, pick up the phone. It's the, how do you? Everyone does it differently. It's the doing that does it, that do it anyway. By the way, that's a ripoff of Mother Teresa. The woman who wrote the foreword, Mindy Ullman, is my dearest exemplar. She is, I'm doing a podcast myself, and she's the 10th guest. She is my exemplar. She represents everything. She gave me this beautiful Mother Teresa quote, which is, I changed it to do it anyway, be heliotropic, but it's the same thing. Mother Teresa tried really hard to be a good person. And can't we do that? No matter what our excuses are. I'm tired. I'm hungry. He did that. I didn't. I don't have any training. I don't know how to do it right. All of the garbage. You're exactly right. When I used to be a therapist, that's all I would do is, well, you're very direct. You think? I just,
Somebody's got to do it, Harry. I mean, come on.
But telling people to do it is not the same as doing it. If they come back next week, did you do it? No, but I thought about it real hard. Oh, God.
That's so annoying. My dad had this little thing he said, he's a NATO. I'm like, what's a NATO? No action, talk only. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, don't be a NATO.
Don't be a NATO.
Because there's people that do that all the damn time. Okay.
I don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that. Okay. Let's also talk about pet peeves, because I think that I'm teaching a class on mindfulness. We're talking about judgment, and we're talking about how people, how you could just take someone in their behavior and you make a judgment and then you put them in a box and then you can't see anything else. And I think that especially in relationships or people that we have to work with, whatever it is, right, that we get locked up in, here's how this person, annoys me. Let's talk about some of the pieces, like, how do you release your pet peeves?
The first and most important is to see them as what we're talking about, big, fat, juicy rationalizations to judge and feel holier than thou. That's like, oh my God, I got another one. Oh yeah, I got another one. And it's the peeve itself that you can then have, a little bit of distance from, the technique of stepping back and go, look at my high horse. Look at my irritation. I got irritated with you being late. I copped that attitude the minute we got started, which was, doesn't she know how important I am? And in split second, I saw my own peeve. I can't wait that we could get to talk about it. That's one of mine. People who don't come on time. Well, guess who doesn't come on time plenty of times? It's me. So my point to you is, we see it and cut ourselves some slack and get off our high horse. And you got to know why we got to release them, because we're full of it. We're just full of judgment and holier than thouism and thinking that we have it together. It's garbage. Our pet peeves are bullshit.
I love this. For those of you who are watching on Zoom, I don't know if this will even work, but there's an image from the book I have to show everybody because you'll really get this pet peeve thing because you say like your pet. I don't know if you guys can see it, but your pet peeves are, what do you say? Like your pet peeves are eating you, like.
Yes. And we think we keep them around. We think, we when you hear someone, one of my pet peeves is, and you go, oh my God, you're working up an irritation. People don't know that they do that. People don't even realize that they're, thinking that it's good that they are pissed and irritated about the thing. Like, how is that good for anybody? You think sharing that is like, yeah, I hate that too. Oh, is that what we want to do here? We want to get all on our yeah. And you know what else I can't stand? And you know what else pisses me off? How is that helpful? It's bullshit. And so I hope people can see this. You have to have the motive to understand it. We people don't like to be around people who bitch and complain. And complaining is a drag. So pet peeves is just big, fat, juicy complaining. Ugh.
It's so true. Well, I think the other thing that you say in your book that I just want to remind everyone is that you're talking about like, how are you going to train our brain, right? And so when you are consensus building for your rightness, you're training your pet peeves to keep you in that state of annoyance and talking about it. For me, that's when I'm definitely could fall into that. So when I'm like, let me tell you the story, and then I'm like, oh my God.
You did it. See, what you just revealed, what you just practiced, what you just showed is how do you do it? You step in it, and then you go clean it off after you step in it. You have to make the error and then do the next right thing. That's that's the beauty of this. We're never done. It's never like, I figured it out. I no longer have pet peeves. That's bullshit. I will have pet peeves. I will get judgy. I will get irritated, irritable. Who, me? Dr. Harry, the exalted one? Yeah. And it's garbage. But the beauty is you step in it and then you clean it off. Right?
Yeah. So do you ever watch the show Shrinking? Have you ever seen that show with Harrison Ford?
Yes.
You're like the younger Harrison Ford, like really smart, cool doctor that's like the mentor, like the wise one in the room.
Yeah. I hope I don't get Parkinson's.
No. But you just have that, like in that show, he's like very calm and he's like, everyone else around him is frenetic. And he's like, we fuck up. Just unfuck it up. It's
Totally. I'm glad you said that so that we can say that because it does happen. We will. And that's why, I love that. Thank you for that sweet compliment. My ego doesn't need it, but it certainly likes it. But let's see if we can help other people get the wisdom to be exemplars for others, to just, if we can help each other and ourselves be 1% better. I'm only talking just a little 1%. Bit better. 1%, man. Let's do some good and spread this to the world, Marty. And everybody can. That's who wants to. Let me just say there's 8 billion people. Probably 4 billion that want to. The other 4 billion not interested. I'm interested in talking to the 4 billion that want to be this much better. Even if they're wonderful already, let's be even more wonderful. And let's change the world in that way. And everybody wins.
Last thing I want to talk about is this piece around authenticity and identity, right? Because our identity, really is like, how we think, how we define ourselves impacts, what we do and how we do it, right? And so if you start to see yourself as a heliotropic person, right, then it follows and you take the time. Like, I love this book. Everyone get the book. The link is in the show notes, right? Your version of like, all I have to do is just do it, practice it every day. I love this so much. Then you could start to shift your identity. And I want to point out for those ladies that are dating, because someone said to me once, like, we were talking about values, and she was like, oh, well, what if I want values in a guy that I don't really have in myself all the time? Right? Like women all the time are like, I want a guy who communicates, but then you ghost the guys that you're not interested in. Right?
Oh, so if this is relationship and dating advice, just be as wonderful a person as you possibly can be. And that's your identity. I want to try and be as wonderful as I possibly can be. Well, who wouldn't want to be around that? Talk about attractive. What are you working on? I'm working on trying to be a better person. Are you good enough? Well, I love myself as is, but I could be better. That's me. And imagine for the people, do you want to be more attractive? Be a good person. Who doesn't want to be around a good person? That's how do you get more friends? Be a good friend,
Right. Don't be part of the problem.
Or even anything. So that's your identity is so critical. Just think, what? Could I be a little bit more sweet or a little bit less of a jerk? Yes. Do that. I mean, I get excited about all these things. One of them, because I do them every day I sort of reflect on it. And one was still in the potholes of the street you don't walk down. And I was thinking about what that meant for me that day. And for me, it was do the dishes that I didn't leave in the sink. Now you think, what an idiot. You took you this long to figure that out, Harry? Yes. And since that moment, I've been doing the dishes so beautifully, so wonderfully that I didn't leave because it's just such a sweet thing my wife loves. She loves it. It took me this long to figure that out. Okay. At least I figured it out.
That's so funny. My husband did the laundry. He does the laundry when told. And, he's very helpful, right? But the other day I went to go do the laundry and I was like, where's the laundry? That's weird. And he did it and he folded it and it took 14 years and it was so sweet.
See what I'm saying, Marty? This is where I keep wanting to discover. This is like discovering a wheel. This is like don't shit upstream from where you drink. There's so many good ones. Let's keep looking for them, practicing them, and then spreading them with your friends. Hey, you know what I did today? I did a good deed. Oh, what'd you do? I called a friend. Nice. Hey, you know what I did? I bit my tongue when somebody said something stupid. I didn't correct them. I didn't, let them know what an idiot they were. Good for you. I know. It's great.
So great. I so love this. Lady, Dr. Harry, you're the best. He asked me at the beginning, inside scoop. He was like, what would make this great? And I was like, just be you. And he has. And his work is brilliant. And I love the idea of simplifying things because I know you talk about, don't be a complexifier. And I think that, when we get caught up and we're type A and we work really hard and we want to, and I love this book because it really makes everything just so freaking basic because being a good person and not being a dick isn't that hard, really.
So, Marty, I got to tell you, did you receive some praise? Can you have?
I would love, yes. What did you say? My ego doesn't need, what did you say? But I would like it. How did you say that so well?
My ego doesn't need the food, but it certainly appreciates it.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm greased.
Chocolate chip cookie. It's delicious, but not that nutritious. Okay. Look, I've done a lot of podcasts, and what's really wonderful, and it's really just a joy to talk to somebody who's read the book, which takes 20 minutes, but more importantly, you've really taken it to heart, and it's really great that you understand it, and it makes this time so valuable for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you got it, that you really do get it, and you can practice it, and you're with me on this journey of helping other people get it. So,
I love that. Thank you. Little AI gave you a thumbs up too. That's so cool. That's so awesome. Ladies, I'm putting the link to this book, Be the Sun, Not the Salt, in the show notes. I think it's a book to buy for yourself. I think it's, I'm thinking of buying this for my kids, all three of them, because I just think,
beautiful.
Right? Beautiful. They're emerging adults, and it's like, we want to just, the ripple effect. But thank you so much. And also thank you for having such a gorgeous background. I see, my background's not attractive, but I see a lot of Zoom filters, and you shared with me your beautiful lake.
My home?
Yeah, your beautiful home.
Sure,
you're on Zoom. If you're on Zoom, you're getting a treat now. And the dog. Yay. I love it. This was a chock full episode, peeps, because the name of the show is Life Check Yourself. And Harry and I talked about a big fat handful of ways that you could just listen to this, make some notes, and be like, okay, what would it look like if I just for 7 days. We probably talked about at least 7, right? And be like, okay, I'm just going to double down on being the best version of myself that I can. Do it. That's the challenge. Let us know how it's going, because I bet you will be shocked at how much your life changes from putting the focus on you and your own choices and your own actions. Yay, no NATOs for us. You can find me on Instagram, Marni Battista _. You can find me on Facebook. It's Marni Battista. And whatever you do, it is your responsibility always and in all ways to life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.